It's no secret that Ferruccio Lamborghini hated motor racing, so whether he'd have approved of this Huracan GT3 or not is an issue of some debate. But when founding fathers pass away, their companies move on. And in 2016, the Huracan GT3 you see here is rapidly becoming one of the most successful and sought after GT racing cars in the business. A proper racing car it is too, with vast amounts of downforce, a magnificently unsilenced V10 engine, totally reworked suspension, and a 6-speed sequential gearbox that powers the rear wheels rather than all four. I drove it recently at the Lamborghini Super Trofeo World Finals event in Valencia, and just for good measure, it absolutely chucked it down just before I went out. Here's what happened next.
Right, this is quite insane actually, because this is the Huracan GT3 at Valencia, which is a massive privilege, a really big privilege, because this is a proper racing car, 300 grand's worth of racing car. But unfortunately at the moment, the most important button on this steering wheel, which has got about 100 buttons on it, is the one with the wiper symbol on it, because it's chucking it down. So this is a proper baptism of fire, as ever, with these events. To begin with, I'm not going to go quickly at all, because I've just done a few other laps, which we'll show you some of. And as soon as I went over as soon as I got out of first gear, the microphone wasn't picking anything up, so I'm really hoping that the microphone is going to pick up what I'm saying now. So let's talk a little bit about the GT3. It has an FIA restrictor on its 5.2 litre V10. I mean, it's kind of the same engine you get in a Huracan road car, but the difference is this one only has 505 horsepower because of this air restrictor. It's also only rear-wheel drive, and that allows it two big things. One, to be much lighter than the road car. This thing only weighs 1,200 kilograms. And two, with all these wings and bespoke trick suspension, it's got 600 kilograms of downforce at top whack and about 400 kilograms of downforce. Well, most of the way up around a fast lap like this. It's a beautifully fluid circuit as well, Valencia. In a minute, I'm going to stop talking and start driving it a bit more properly, but let me just tell you about the steering, because it is absolutely delicious. It's really light, just gigantically accurate, and you can just stick the beautiful nose of this Huracan GT3 pretty much anywhere you want to, even in conditions like this, because the tyres are really trick on this thing too. It's got full Pirelli wet, and as you see in a minute, you can properly push this thing, and yet it stops and it goes around corners properly. And again, as ever, when you've got a lot of downforce, the faster you go, even when it's really slippery and really wet like this, the faster you go, the more grip you generate, because the thing is being pushed down into the floor as you generate speed. But it really is a very lovely, friendly, fundamentally friendly racing car. And be no doubt, this is a proper racing car. You know, it's not a Huracan with some wings and a few other trick bits on it. The suspension is completely different from the road cars. The aero package is totally different. You've got underfloor aerodynamics going on in this thing, and the brakes are lovely too. It's got adjustable ABS, so depending on how tasty you're feeling and how slippery it is, you can dial up and dial down the effects of the ABS. You can do exactly the same thing with a 10-stage traction control system. 10-stage traction control. And as a result, I can really imagine why this thing is such a lovely thing to go sort of semi-endurance racing in. You know, they don't race it for 24 hours. Well, actually, no, that's tell a lie. They do it at Daytona. But most of the time they race them for like an hour and a half. And my word, for your 300 odd grand, this really does feel like a proper trick piece of kit, but one that isn't going to tear your arms off when you get near the limit. The only thing you don't want to do on a day like this, in a car like this, is start running over the white lines. But right, I've been talking quietly for far too long. I'm going to put my foot down a bit now, and you're not going to be able to hear a word I'm saying. I just feel so lucky to be able to do this sort of thing. And so lucky that people like Lamborghini trust me to do this sort of thing in conditions like this. Top car company nowadays. Top car. Thanks.
Click on the video windows to watch a first drive of the Huracan LP 582 road car or a track test of the Aventador SV. Click on the play icon to watch our latest vid or on our logo to subscribe.